Most business owners live in reactive mode, multitasking, context switching, managing details they shouldn't even be on their plate. And the worst part, you've normalized it. You tell yourself this is just what success feels like, but that's not true. Burnout isn't the cost of doing business, it's the symptom of doing too much of the wrong things for too long. Burnout is a state of emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion that results from prolonged stress and overwork. Its causes: long working hours, working excessively long hours without adequate breaks or rest, high stress levels, experiencing constant pressure and demands, often without sufficient support or resources, overwhelming responsibilities, having too many tasks and projects to manage effectively, lack of control, feeling like you have little to say in how you do your work or what you do, poor work-life balance, neglecting personal life, and relationships in favor of work. The consequences? Reduced productivity, difficulty concentrating. You know what else is a consequence? Poor physical health, poor mental health, including sleep disturbances, headaches, and digestive issues, and not to mention relationship problems. Here are 5 simple, tactical steps to finally reduce burnout without stepping away from your business. Hi, I'm Trisha Shortino, the CEO of BELAY. I've worked with thousands of business owners, and burnout is one of the most common problems I see. No one wants to admit they're stretched too thin, but here's what I've learned. If you don't build a better system, your body and your brain will eventually force you to stop. But it doesn't have to stay that way. Just ask Andy. Sometimes I would sit in front of my email in the past, and that dictated my day as opposed to what I really needed to do that day. Then I hired a BELAY VA, and 9 months down the road, I'm looking at myself and thinking, wow, I'm really out of the weeds with that production process that I was working on, and I'm really spending a lot more time in higher value, higher hourly rate, higher growth revenue opportunities for my business. Let's talk about how to build that kind of momentum in your business. 1. Stop making every decision yourself. The average adult makes 35,000 decisions per day. When we make lots of decisions, our brains will slow down. That's called decision fatigue. Most of us hit that limit by 11 a.m. Every quick decision, rescheduling a meeting, replying to a Slack, reviewing a task, costs mental energy. Not because it's hard, but because your focus and attention is finite. The goal isn't to make faster decisions, it's to make fewer, higher quality decisions. You don't need to weigh in on everything. If you trust someone, let them decide. And if there's no one you trust yet, that's the real problem to solve. I remember when I was delegating tasks, but not empowering and letting go. I got to the point where I'd hire when and where I needed, but I wasn't letting go. I remember hiring my first manager who'd take over our talent acquisition team. I had a great intention of letting go ownership of this department, yet I was still very heavily involved in the running and overseeing of the department. Finally, one day she asked me, "Do you trust me to do this job you've hired me for?" And I said, "Of course I do." And she said, "Then act like it and let go. You're holding on." She was right. I had to let her lead her way, not my way. I was stifling her ability to lead, grow, and think, and I was also burying myself in redundant work. Unfortunately, I'd repeat this mistake a few more times before learning better. Hire smart people smarter than you, and let them make decisions instead of you. 2. Quit multitasking like it's a badge of honor. While people switch between tasks quickly, the human brain is not designed for multitasking. Every time you switch tasks, your brain has to switch context. You lose momentum, your thinking gets muddy, and mistakes start to creep in. It's far better to focus deeply on the most important things that move the needle. I used to focus on speed and accomplishment rather than thought. It took me years to realize that thinking is actually the job of a leader, and that I also needed that time on my calendar. It felt like it was unproductive time, but as the business required more careful planning and guidance to grow, I needed to start creating blocks of time to think through critical business decisions, like how to adjust strategies to merge 2 services together, how to get the company to grow through its latest acquisition, how to avoid friction between teams. This is not something you could haphazardly decide on. These are things that need time. So I started blocking time on my calendar for thinking. So think of time in themes: mornings for strategy, afternoons for meeting, 1 day a week for no meetings, 1 day for content creation. Whatever works for you. Something is better than nothing. It sounds basic, but it works. Burnout thrives in chaos. Structure is your friend. 3. Build a default no system. Build a system that lets you say no. Most leaders don't burn out from doing hard things, they burn out from saying yes to things they shouldn't be doing in the first place. If every request comes straight to you, questions, decisions, check-ins, you're setting yourself up to drown. Put a layer between you and the noise. Give someone else the power to say no on your behalf. It doesn't make you inaccessible, it makes you sustainable. I have one team member who is a people pleaser, and she could or never would say no. She was working long, late hours until it physically hit her. She actually got sick. She wasn't delegating, and she was becoming a roadblock to the business and to herself. We got her an EA, and her life changed. Her EA took on the accountability and the responsibility to help her say no to the things she shouldn't be spending her time on, and it appeased the people pleaser in her. 4. Offload the repeatable stuff. If a task shows up more than twice a week, it probably doesn't need you. Calendar management, inbox triage, vendor questions, basic follow-up, that's all handoff material. It's not about ego, it's about energy conservation. You need to protect your best thinking for the work that actually moves the needle. Vision, strategy, hiring, growth, professional development, everything else, it's not your job anymore. That's exactly what one of our clients, Katie, experienced. Having Ari gives me the headspace and the bandwidth to even think through things. Before, it was just like, I'll have to focus on what's coming in, I have to put out the fires. Now, it's like, oh, well now we have some time and space to breathe and think and dream of what actually could be possible. Cameron, my EA, is the gatekeeper of my calendar and now won't allow things that don't need to be on my calendar get on my calendar. I used to be in every project meeting, every team meeting, and was meeting all day long. It left me no time to do any of the thoughtful work I needed to be doing. I reacted to the day and felt accomplished just to have made it through unscathed. Now, with the help of Cameron, those project meetings, I add value to the first 5% by casting vision on the project, I read updates, and let the team finish the last 5%. The team is now doing 90% of all of the work in the middle. I'm only in the meetings now that require my level of vision, decision-making, and strategic mindset. I'm in half the meetings today than I was a year ago, thanks to delegating and letting go. And now I have time for things like strategies on new services, content creation, deep review of financials, and things that CEOs should be doing. 5. Rest like it's part of the job, because it is. Most burnt out leaders don't need a sabbatical, they need 2 uninterrupted hours a day where nobody's asking for anything. You don't need to disappear, you just need to stop leaking energy at every single turn. Protect your evenings, step outside, and stop apologizing for going quiet. Your brain will thank you, your team will thank you, and your business will finally start to run without chewing you up in the process. If you're juggling everything and barely keeping up, this isn't about pushing harder, it's about deciding what's actually worth your energy and building a team that takes the rest. At BELAY, we help business owners offload the decisions, tasks, and distractions that cause burnout in the first place. Download Delegate to Elevate, our free guide that shows you what to hand off first. You can run a business without burning out. You just can't do it alone. You aren't meant to run your business from your inbox. Get the free guide that helps leaders like you step back, think bigger, and lead better. Download Delegate to Elevate.